Our next video is actually going to be the live webinar that we did with Route Genie.
So if you missed it, check it out, guys.
All right, you guys.
We are recording. So hello, everybody. Jasmine, Monica, I would bet a lot of your viewers probably know who you guys are, but I don't know if you guys want to do a quick intro or if you'd like me to just jump right in.
You know what, Jonathan? We can do a quick intro.
Well, let's do that.
Yes, absolutely. So we are thrilled to have Jonathan from Route Genie in this live webinar today. He is going to just pretty much explain the service and features of their scheduling platform. And we are extremely excited to be given the opportunity to even be on this platform with you today, Jonathan. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me. We're really excited to talk to everybody and hopefully get some questions answered and help everybody understand kind of what's out there in terms of technology for NEMT companies and how it can make a huge difference in your business, both today and as you grow.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I went ahead and shared my screen. So if anybody can't see that, if you could go ahead and just let me know, but I'll give kind of a quick intro of myself. So my name is Jonathan Anthon. My title is Chief Revenue Officer, but I'm one of the partners and owners of the company that produces a product called Route Genie, which is a non-emergency medical transportation specific software program. We were built by a medical transportation company for medical transportation companies. So we, two of my business partners actually own one of the largest providers in upstate New York. So not only do we produce software, but we kind of live and breathe everything that you deal with every day as well, as kind of a transportation company ourselves. I do have with me, I'll let him kind of unmute and just say hello real quick, Mr. Michael Lux. Mike is one of my senior account executives. He's just here to kind of help me out and jot down some notes if there's any follow-up or maybe jump in and answer some questions. So Mike, I'll let you kind of say hello real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, John. Hello, Jasmine and Monica and everyone in the chat with us today. I know John and I are really excited to have these conversations with everybody, and we look forward to this meeting.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to dive in here. So I'm going to go ahead and let Monica and Jasmine start to. I know you guys have some specific things you wanted us to cover. So if there's anything I miss, I guess let me know. But I think I'll dive into some of the things that you guys had brought up that your viewers were particularly interested in, and then we can kind of go from there.
Absolutely. So Jonathan, I did send you an email earlier this morning, just kind of highlighting a few key things that I feel that our viewers would like to learn more information about as it pertains to scheduling software. So you have that list. If you could just go ahead and dive right in, and if any questions should arise, if you don't mind, I can definitely chime in. And then at the end, we will give our viewers the opportunity to ask questions in the chat, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely. And I would say, folks, if you have questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat when you have them, just so you don't lose them. And I will do my best to monitor the chat as I go. And I will do my best to try to, if there's a good segue to go and answer a question while I'm cruising along, I will be happy to do so. So go ahead and throw your questions in the chat right away. If we don't get to them during the presentation, we'll absolutely come back to them at the end. We certainly want everybody, this is designed to be a learning experience for you. So we want to make sure that you walk away with all the information that you are hoping to get from us. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and kind of get things started. So you're looking at the dashboard of Route Genie right now. I'm going to take you on a little bit of a journey through the life of a trip within the software. So from the creation of the trip for when it gets started, all the way through when it ends. And we can talk even a little bit about billing and reporting at the end as well. But Route Genie has a lot of different ways to bring trips in because there's a lot of different ways that businesses like yours operate, right? So we have everything from obviously, good old fashioned manual creation. If someone, calls you and it's a private pay ride, or if you have a partner that calls you to take a ride, everywhere from there, all the way to a slew of different completely automated functions to get trips that come into your software seamlessly. So you don't have to do a thing and they essentially just appear for you. So let's talk about some of those tools. So first, I'm going to talk about broker integration. So for those of you that are working with brokers, We do have a direct connection to a slew of different brokers, some of them national and big names that you recognize, probably like Motive Care and MTM and Southeast Trans. Or we're actually very excited to tell you that on our next release, which will be March 2nd, we'll be releasing our integration with Access to Care as well. And we have some regional providers like Medical Answering Services and Century Plan, which service New York. Martin Gatch are out in New England. Veo is kind of all over the country as well. Vector Care Services, Kaiser Permanente in California. So all sorts of different providers. We do have some providers that are integrated or in the process of integrating to us that don't show up here, where they've essentially, instead of us building the connection to their database, it's kind of reversed. And those include companies like Kaizen Health and Ride Health and Call the Car, et cetera. So there's obviously a slew of brokers out there. And really a lot of them are moving towards this new kind of digital approach where they really want to have a direct connection to the providers. It cuts out a lot of the human error and things getting missed so that they can make sure they have the best possible experience for their members, because at the end of the day, that's their goal, right? So for these different integrations, all of them do work a little bit differently. So if you do have specific questions, I definitely recommend, we'll drop a link down there for you guys at the end where you can go and schedule a more thorough demo and more of kind of a one-on-one for some of you that you can ask questions about the specific brokers that you might be working with. But most of these, essentially what's happening is trips are coming in automatically. As soon as Motive Care or MTM creates that trip on their side, they send us a message and let us know that there's a new ride available. We grab that ride and we create it in your software for you. If there's an update to a ride, if it's canceled, if the time changes, if a location changes, those things all again happen live in real time. As soon as they save the ride on their side, it starts to flow right to you within Route Genie. So it really creates a seamless experience for you. Instead of trying to catch addresses over the phone or going to your portal and having to translate something over, it's all instant in that real live real-time connection. We do also have a couple other resources to get trips in the software automatically. So I'm going to show you a couple of those. The first one is our payer portal. So this can be something you can set up with, you're working with a nursing home or a local hospital, medical facility, or otherwise. They can actually go in and manage trips themselves. Instead of having to call you or fax you or email you, they can go ahead and put their trips into the software. You can see all the trips that we have entered for this demo account down here. And then as you're completing the trips, you'll see we have approximate pickup and drop-off times. These are the scheduled times for now. But as that trip unfolds and you've assigned it to a vehicle and things are moving forward, they'll see those times start to update as they go. And when you're performing a trip, so if you have a passenger in the vehicle for that account, they'll actually be able to see the vehicle on the map. So it looks like ours is zoomed in on Berlin, Germany for some reason right now, but they're going to actually be able to see your vehicles moving only when you're doing a trip for them. So if it's not doing something else, they're not going to be able to see anything. But it really gives them a lot of transparency and really helps create a really strong relationship between you and your accounts where they know that they can trust you because they can see exactly what's going on. Also cuts down the number of phone calls you've got coming in to schedule rides, ask where rides are, ask for status updates, because it's all right here. You see, we also have a will call here. So if they have a will call and that person's ready to go, they actually get this dispatch now button, which they can't choose the vehicle. It's just essentially saying, hey, send you a command to dispatch that ride now. So instead of having to call you for that will call, they can actually go ahead and hit that button, and that will call will be released on your side. So you know that it's time to send a vehicle out to go and pick up that passenger. So kind of cool automated way, cuts down on a lot of work on your side, cuts down on miscommunication issues, and really builds confidence in your accounts that you're going to do a good job because they're going to be able to see the job that you're doing day in and day out. So they can feel confident that you're not just talking the talk when you tell them you're the best, but you can walk the walk as well, which at the end of the day is going to help you score more accounts. So that is kind of one of our cool automated tools that's built right into Route Genie. Go with another one here. This is actually our business partners company, Buffalo Transportation. So I'm on their website. You'll see on their website, they have a little reservation tab here. And we have a form built into the website where that person can enter their trip information and actually get pricing. And they can go ahead and submit it. You'll see our little Powered by ISI Technology logo down here. This is what's called an iframe. It's actually a little snippet of code that we can generate for you. And you can drop that snippet of code right into your website. And when someone books a ride through that code or through your website, it automatically appears right in Route Genie for you. So you don't have to worry about missing a ride or having to transfer it from an email or anything of that nature. It all comes directly from your website right into Route Genie. We do also, I'm gonna just in this for the sake of time, I'm going to skip on app demonstrations today, but we do have a passenger application as well. There's both a kind of an app for all of our customers that's absolutely free. I'm actually excited to announce that we're rebranding that application to give it a really cool brand for our customers to be able to go out and promote if they wish. Or you can also have that app white labeled. So it becomes your brand, your logo, your name in the App Store, both in the iOS, the App Store for Apple phones, and then for Android in the Google Play Store. So you get your very own apps, or you can utilize ours. And then just when someone signs up, they just have to say, hey, this is, I want to work with MJ Reliable Transportation, and then we'll sync their account back to your Route Genie account. So that app allows them to book rides as well as get status updates, see ride history, etc. So again, that's something we have some videos on our YouTube channel if anybody would like to check those out. But in the interest of time, I'm gonna skip from demonstrating any applications today. And the last piece, obviously, sometimes we just have to bite the bullet and go ahead and schedule a ride the good old fashioned manual way, right? Where someone calls in and we just got to enter that trip information into the system ourselves and get that trip going. So you'll actually see on a few different screens that I might go through today. You'll see this little button over here that says add order. That is the button that we're going to hit to go ahead and create a new trip. So I'll go ahead and hit that button and pull up our screen. We have I just accidentally closed it. Let's try to open it again. But we have a few different experiences as to how this can work. This demo account is set up that we are going to do the payer or the funding source first. So this is, what broker is it? Is it a private pay trip? Am I doing it for MTM, Motive Care, etc.? So I'm going to go ahead. I'll choose MTM for this one. And then it's going to pass us along to the passenger information. We do also have the ability that you can do the passenger information first. You can also do phone number. If you want to search by phone number, that's something we just actually put out in our last release. You'll hear me talk about our releases a lot. And that's because we do quite a few of them. We actually release new features every 2 weeks. So if there's things that our customers want to see in the software, we collect that feedback from all of our customers. And we sit down every 2 weeks and look at what the most popular things are that we need to get out for people to make their life a little bit easier. And do those new releases every 2 weeks that have usually a few different features, sometimes some big ones, sometimes a few small ones, but some things to make your life easier and help you operate your business more efficiently. We certainly don't want to be complacent with what we have. We think our software is pretty awesome, but we want it to be perfect for everybody. So we always take that feedback and do our best to get as much done as we can for all of our customers. So in terms of scheduling a ride, so let's kind of get back to this. I've chosen my passenger. It's an MTM trip. Now I've got to enter my pickup and drop off information. So quite a few ways I can do this. Obviously, I can type the trip in. And if I do, it's actually synced to Google Maps. So this is going to go ahead and search just like when you start typing addresses on your phone. You'll see it's got the Powered by Google logo there. It's going to go ahead and find what I'm trying to go from. I could also click on this little icon over here, little GPS icon. That will show addresses that I've traveled to or from in the past. So, well, not me, but in this case, this passenger. So we can easily kind of find their home address or other addresses. We can also have the passenger's home address default as the pickup if that's easier for you. Now, the other thing we have here that's pretty cool is this facility tool, where you can create the different facilities that you tend to go to, and you can even drop pins at the different entrances. So if it's a big medical campus, sometimes you've got the main door, you've got the ER door, you've got the outpatient door, you've got the inpatient clinic, you've got the rehab clinic, you've got all these different places around the campus that someone might need to go to. In our system, you can actually program all those different entrances. You can see we have ECMC, but we have 3 different entrances for ECMC. That's Erie County Medical Center here in Buffalo. And that will, when the driver gets their directions on their phone, it will actually take them right to the door that you need that passenger dropped off or picked up at. So they're not wandering around the campus trying to figure out where Mickey is here. As we try to find him, it's going to take them right to the door that you indicated Mickey will be at. From there, we can choose different modes of service, and this is customizable. Everybody's software comes stock with ambulatory wheelchair and stretcher. You can see we've added bariatric wheelchair and ALS stretcher work, as well as taxi, which would be kind of more of a curb-to-curb service. If there's additional riders, we can indicate the number of seats that are going to be taken by this ride. Do they need an attendant? If I actually move to wheelchair, you'll see a whole bunch more information pop up. Is it a two-man assist? Is it extra weight? So is it a bariatric wheelchair? All of those things can be considered here, when we're scheduling a ride. So now I'm going to go ahead and set the date that this passenger needs to be picked up, and I can choose whether, do I have a specific time I need to pick that passenger up, or do I want to make sure I get them there for their appointment by a certain time? So this is going to tell the routing system what's important. Is it the time we're picking them up, or is it the time that we're dropping them off? So when we get into our automated routing tools, which we'll talk about in a little bit, that will be the time that's considered, so we can make sure that we're arriving on time where we need to be, and getting folks to and from their appointments effectively. From there, I don't want to get too deep in the details just because of time, but we can add notes. We can add add-on items like oxygen or wait time or whatever it might be. To schedule a round trip is just one simple click, and it's going to go ahead and create a second leg for me and flip my addresses automatically. And it does default that second trip to a will call, but if I want to set a time, I can just click no here, and it'll have me pick up a time. I'm going to go ahead and just make this a will call in the interest of time. And then, obviously, I would bet a lot of you are doing work that's recurring. So standing orders, or some folks call them subscription rides, is a common phrase. So it's gonna create those rides for us, and now we can create this to be recurring. We can either choose a range of time that this ride's gonna happen. So if I'm gonna be taking this person every day through the end of April, I can go ahead and choose that, and it'll go ahead and schedule that ride for me every day through the end of April. Or if I don't know how long I'll be taking that person, I can choose no end date, and it'll just go ahead and keep creating those rides. Every night it goes in and just makes sure that all of that passenger's rides are created for at least the next 2 weeks. So you always have 2 weeks of rides created out into the future. And now I can decide what days of the week this passenger is going to ride on. So is this maybe a dialysis that they go Monday, Wednesday, Friday? Or is it maybe an adult day program where they go every single day? We'll set it up for every day because I'm feeling adventurous. So now you'll see as I add these, the days of the week are popping up over here, and that's so I can make modifications to that day. This is something that's, I think, very unique for us. I've seen some other systems that it's a little more clunky, where if you have different bell times for an adult day program, for example, or for school, or different chair times for someone on dialysis for Friday that they have on Monday, Wednesday, you've got to create multiple standing orders, and it can get a little confusing, especially when you're going back to make changes. Here, if I've got a different chair time for Friday, all I have to do is go to Friday's ride. I can go ahead and change that time and apply that, and that's just going to be only for Fridays. The rest of the days will stay at 1 p.m. But for Fridays, now I've changed it to noon. I'm just going to click that apply, and now it's changed just for Friday. So really flexible scheduling tool, especially for those recurring rides, the subscription rides, or those standing orders. So that you guys can manage all of your rides, make sure all the information you need is captured and ready to go when it comes time to route those trips and dispatch those trips, etc. Like so, I clicked our blog link there. All right, and I don't see any questions in the chat, but again, if you have questions, please feel free to go ahead and drop them. It looks like we do have one chat. It's just Mike. So Mike will be watching and answering some of those questions in the chat as well. And like I said, if you have any questions about anything specific, please do not hesitate to ask us.
Hey, John, I'm going to jump in here for 1 second. So
Sure.
Someone had pointed out that the chat is blocked to participants, but at the bottom, there is a button next to chat that says Q&A. So if you have any questions, just type them right into the Q&A, and we will either answer them in real time, or as John said, when we get to the end, we'll open it up and we'll go through all those questions.
Well, that's just me being a Zoom rookie. It looks like now I do see the Q&A thing there. All right, so it looks like you have to go in the Q&A. So Q&A, not chat. My fault. That's my Zoom webinar rookie lack of experience showing up there. So if you have questions, go to that Q&A, and please feel free to ask there. All right, let's go ahead and dive into kind of some of the nitty-gritty, some of the big tasks that you're faced with every day as a transportation provider. One of the biggest ones is routing all of your trips, right? So We have a tool called the pre-assign. So the pre-assign is exactly what it sounds like. This is your ability to schedule your trips for a future date. So I'm going to go ahead and do Monday. Pre-assign has the ability to work two different ways. One is Route Genie will look at all of your trips and look at your vehicles and tell you the most efficient way to handle all of your trips with the vehicles that you have, to make it as streamlined as possible. And then you can kind of fill the drivers into the vehicles based on the shifts that Route Genie creates. Or you can go ahead and schedule your vehicles and drivers ahead of time. So schedule what your shifts are going to look like. And then Route Genie will use the vehicles that you told are available to go ahead and create your routes. And routing all of your trips is, quite frankly, as easy as choosing all of them and going ahead and clicking that auto assign button. We've got 68 trips in our demo account, so we're going to see this cruise through pretty quickly on about 30 seconds to a minute or so. While it's doing that, I'm going to talk about what it's doing and how it's operating. So one of the things that makes our pre-assigned algorithm very unique is just the sheer number of things that it considers. So it is looking at the capacity of the vehicle, how many seats are in that vehicle, the starting location of that vehicle. Is it at the office? Does the driver take the vehicle home? Are there multiple offices? We're looking at, can the vehicle drive for that payer? So if you're working with MTM or Motive Care and you've got a vehicle that isn't credentialed for them yet, but you can use it for private pay for now, we'll keep it away from those MTM and Motive Care trips and use it only for private pay. Is the driver credentialed? If there is a driver assigned to the vehicle, or if there's no driver assigned, then obviously we'll ignore that and let you assign the driver later. We can look at passenger blacklists. So if two passengers have, gotten into a fight in the vehicle in the past or don't get along for whatever reason, we can prevent them from riding together. We can do driver and passenger blacklisting, where if a driver and a passenger don't get along, we can prevent that driver from being assigned that passenger's rides. Obviously, we're looking at the mode of transportation. We don't want to send a Prius out to pick somebody up in a wheelchair. I don't think there's many ways to do that if you're gonna strap them to the back, but I think that's probably frowned upon. So we want to avoid that. So we want to make sure that we're sending wheelchair vehicles out to handle wheelchair trips, and that we don't have too many wheelchairs. Can that vehicle handle one wheelchair? Can it take two? Can it take three? All that information stored in the back end. So when you set your Route Genie up, we'll take you through all those settings to make sure that everything's set up for your business, so that when this algorithm is running, it's really looking at your business rules and finding you the best possible solutions. So here we can see all of our vehicles that were assigned rides for this day. We can see how many trips each vehicle has, how many loaded miles it's driving, and the total number of dollars that vehicle is going to generate. So you can kind of see where you are from a profitability standpoint very quickly before you even enter the day. To look at our routes, we're just going to click on this little GPS icon, and you're going to see it's going to pull up our vehicle's route for us. I'll zoom out. We can see it on the map as well, and you can see it's color-coded for each leg. Trying to get to a view that's a little bit easier to follow. So you can see the color coding for each leg. So it looks like we're picking up Natasha, then we're picking up Adam, picking up Scott. Looks like we're picking up Speed Racer right after Scott. We've got a multi-load here that the system identified. Then dropping off Scott and then dropping off Speed Racer. This makes sense because you can see here the mileages between each of these stops. Is telling us, hey, these picking up Scott, Speed Racer's pickup is only 3/4 of a mile away. I'm then driving a little over 9 miles and then dropping off Scott, and Speed Racer's drop off is only 1/4 mile away from where Scott's is. So those rides make a lot of sense to put together. You can see we have a couple other multi-loads here, but it's laying out that route. I can see it on the map. If I want to see kind of a quick summary, I can click this too, and I can see my summary. I can also drag and drop my stop. So if I say, hey, you know what? I want to do Ben after Donatello, I can drag Ben's trip down. And it'll put it after Donatello in the route. And then it's also going to give me an updated on-time performance calculation. So you can see here, we're dropping off Ben 21 minutes late versus his scheduled time if we do the route this way versus the way it was structured before. So very quickly, I can see everything that I've got going on. I know exactly who's going where, when, what my on-time performance looks like within my routes. Route Genie will never schedule something outside of your business rules in terms of your on-time performance. So you tell the system how early you're allowed to be for your appointments or how late you're allowed to be for scheduled drop-offs, and Route Genie will always conform within those rules to make sure that all of your passengers are getting where they need to be on time. I'm just going to check the Q&A real quick just to make sure I don't have anything there. Or Mike, I don't know if you can see it.
Looks like we are all good right now.
Clear. All right. So again, that's going to be how we do things beforehand. And then when we get to live dispatching, we have a lot of the same tools. We can assign trips to vehicles, but here we can get some suggestions as to which vehicle makes the most sense live in real time. Because we're not looking necessarily at building, a series of 5 trips together. If we have things pre-assigned, especially, a lot of our trips are already going to be assigned to vehicles. So we want to focus more on figuring out who can take this ride now. So I'm going to go ahead and we've got a trip here for Boba Fett. We've got apparently some Star Wars nerds in the office working in the demo count. And by apparently, I mean that's definitely Mike. But so here we're looking at the drivers, their existing route, exactly how this trip would fit into their route. So we can see here, it looks like this driver has some other trips that are already in progress, and we're inserting Boba into that existing ride. It's actually looking like it's a multi-load where they're going to pick up Scott first, then they're going to go pick up Boba, and then drop off Boba, then drop off Scott. So even though that vehicle is currently scheduled to perform that, we found that there's a gap in the schedule. Everybody can still get to their spot on time, even if we multi-load, and get that passenger where they need to be on time. We also see here we have a multi-load suggestion. So when I'm looking for a suggestion for a ride, the system is automatically going to look for other rides that make sense to load together with that trip, so that we can save some time and build efficiency in multi-load. So we can see that Boba and Jango Fett, probably brothers, are going to and from the same location. So it's nice and easy to drop them both into the same vehicle at the same time, and move along our day. So the system's automatically making suggestions as you're dispatching, saying, hey, if you're going to give this ride to that vehicle, let's do this one too, because they're around the same place at the same time, and we can multi-load them and still be on time. So really powerful tools to help you with those assignments and make life a lot easier on your dispatchers and your schedulers. Now, when those rides go out to drivers, again, I'm not going to go through too much in terms of the apps. We do have some awesome videos. If you search for Route Genie on YouTube, all sorts of stuff out there to check out the apps. But it looks like Jasmine's raising her hand. So let's see if Jasmine has you can jump in and ask a question, Jasmine, if you'd like.
Yes, Jonathan. Wow. I think it's really important to have that route optimization feature, because when we first started out, I mean, we would spend hours and hours just trying to figure out, how we were going to route all of our trips. So I think that this is a wonderful feature to have in the software. But I do have a question. I do know that depending on the software platform, you have to have a minimum number of vehicles to utilize the route optimization feature. Is there a minimum with your software?
We do not have any minimums. Our only minimum is the billing minimum, which is 1 vehicle. You charge everybody for at least 1. Okay. And we do bill. It looks like someone actually, Rhonda, asked in the chat the cost of Route Genie per month for a company in Tennessee. I would say, so if you are a smaller fleet under 15 vehicles, Route Genie Growth is likely the best plan for you. Route Genie Growth is $50 per vehicle per month. There are no setup fees unless you purchase one of our add-on modules. No long-term commitment. You can cancel at any time. We can get you started with training. It takes us about a week or so to set up everybody's instance. All of our customers get their very own server on our Amazon Web Services infrastructure. So you're not sharing your server with any other companies. It's one thing that a lot of software platforms, not just NEMT, but in a lot of different places do, is you end up sharing resources, and all of a sudden one guy runs a big day of routing and it slows everybody down, or runs a huge report. So it's so it can be it could be a little hassle. So we can take about a week or so to get you set up, but then we host trainings. Actually, we have you can sign up for training right from our software. We have 6 different sessions. Each of these sessions happens twice a week. They're about an hour long. You can attend them as many times as you want, all you want every day if you'd like. And you can go ahead and sign up. And even if you have a new hire, start in 6 months. These are free to all of our customers, not just our new customers. So we have ongoing training available. We also do have a live customer support team. Now, we ask that's used just for quick questions. We don't want to get all those folks bogged down with going through full training every day. So For quick questions, you can call them. We do have staff in the office ready to answer the phone between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern time. And then we do have after-hour support 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for emergencies. So something's not working right. A lot of times we see just a little mistake someone makes and they don't realize that they made it. Like I had a call last night where someone couldn't figure out why they couldn't assign a ride to a vehicle, and it turned out that passenger was blacklisted from that driver. So couldn't assign it because we told the system not to let you assign it. But we understand that mistakes like that happen. But we're there for those little emergencies where you're trying to do the schedule at night and trying to go home, and it's after hours. You can still get a hold of us if absolutely necessary. But yeah, so it's it's pretty. But in terms of the auto assign, you can do that with any size fleet. So one vehicle, obviously, there's only so many ways to manage that. But even the small companies, we get a feedback a lot since we launched this Route Genie growth platform to make it easier for smaller companies to sign up, that getting the right processes in place from the start made it so much easier for them to scale and grow, because now they didn't have to take everything that they learned and their staff learned and completely start over. They were able to go ahead and start from early on before they got their processes really established within the organization and build those processes around the technology, so that they could be efficient right from the start. Even if, again, if you only have 10 rides a day in 2 vehicles, there's only so many ways to do that. So it's probably not too hard to figure out, but it is still a challenge. Now, but what happens even when you double that and you get to 4 vehicles and now we have 20 rides, 30 rides? What happens when you get to 30 vehicles and 300 rides a day? How about, like Buffalo Transportation, they run upwards of 1,000 rides a day. So imagine what that would look like to route to, hundreds of vehicles and thousands of rides. So you want to get your ability to scale in place early, and then all you have to do is let the software grow with you. One of the great things about Route Genie is we've made it accessible to small fleets, but it was built for a big fleet running thousands of rides every day. So as you grow, you don't have to worry about moving to a different software platform because you've outgrown it. It's built for you to grow into. So that's a great question, but we are a equal opportunity software provider. We would like to bring everybody on board regardless of the size of your fleet.
And hey, Jonathan, I did hear you say that there's no setup fee. So I just kind of want to point that out because, I think that's amazing because there's companies out there that charge thousands of dollars just to get companies set up. So I think that's awesome.
Absolutely. And if you do want us to give you one-on-one training and come on site and support you, we'll be happy to charge you thousands of dollars for that. We do, I guess the funny way of saying we do offer those options as well. But yeah, with this virtual led training, and for us, we set up your instance, we send you a user, we get you some links, and then it's in your hands to go ahead and get yourself up and going at the pace that you like, which is another thing that our customers really enjoy. Is the folks that need to move fast, there's a training every day. The folks that want to take their time, no problem. Do it whenever you want. We're not going to be pressuring you. We're not going to be calling you. You've got your login. You do it at your pace. Melissa, you asked how to get licensed. We will drop a link. Our friends from MJ Reliable actually have their own link to help folks get signed up. So we will drop that for you towards the end. Jasmine, I'm not sure if you have that handy, but we'll want to make sure we drop that in the Q&A for everybody. So Michael, so we have, so the driver app is free. You'll have a Route Genie driver app for all of your drivers. That's where they'll get all their trips. We will automatically track them via GPS. You can see we have the map here on the screen. Our vehicles are all sitting at our office because it's a demo account, but those would actually be updating every 5 seconds live to your software. We use a really cool newer technology called WebSockets. And I shouldn't say newer, but newer in terms of this application, where we create live communication between the app and the database. So I know there's some apps where you update something and it's got a refresh and it refreshes every minute or something like that. Ours is instantaneous. So as soon as you assign a ride to a vehicle, that driver hears a little ding, they have a pop-up on their screen that they've got a new ride. As soon as a driver updates a ride with a status update that they're on their way, they've loaded the passenger, they've completed the ride, that again also comes back to the dispatch screen live in real time. So you'll be getting updates around all of your rides as they're unfolding in real time. We use GPS to make sure that the drivers are where they need to be. We automatically track the time that they've arrived. So instead of the driver having to hit the arrive button, we've heard a lot that driver shows up on time, but then the passenger's inside and They're waiting for them to get going. And by the time the passenger gets in the vehicle, now it's past your scheduled pickup time. And then the driver hits that they've arrived. Well, now it looks like you were late. So you sent that off to your broker, and your broker thinks you're late, but you were really there on time. We automatically capture that arrival time at the pickup and at the drop off with the GPS to make sure we're not counting on the driver to hit that button. We do need the driver at the button to tell us when the passenger's in the vehicle, because that one we can't figure out on our own, unfortunately. But that's a really cool feature on the driver app as well. Now on the passenger application, we do have a generic passenger application. We're going to be announcing our rebranding on that very, very shortly. I think we just need to dot some I's, cross some T's, just make sure we're not stepping on anybody else's apps or anything. We certainly don't want to create any trouble for anybody else. So, but it'll be a branded app with its own name, which will be NEMT related. And anybody can download that app and say, hey, I'm working with MJ Reliable, or I'm working with Buffalo Transportation, and they can communicate with you directly through the app, schedule rides. They can pay with credit card right in the application, or they can get updates on their ride, even if they didn't book it through the app. So if it's a Motive Care ride or an MTM ride or an MAS ride, we match their profile to your profile in the software. So we match that ride to them, even if it wasn't scheduled with the app. Even if it's a broker ride, they can still see that ride scheduled. They can still get an alert when the vehicle is on its way and see that vehicle on the map, just like if they were using Uber or Lyft. So that's a really cool feature. They can also provide you feedback on the ride afterwards. So you can ask for driver feedback, and you get to decide what questions are asked. If you do the white label app, which we'll talk about in a second, where it'll actually they can give you feedback and even create a trouble ticket if there was an issue with the ride right from the application. So a really cool way for you to connect with your customers. Again, one app is free. If you want your own app, we do offer that for an additional fee. It's a $2,000 setup fee for us to build the app, and it's $350 a month for maintenance. So it is a little expensive. It's a lot for us to maintain all those different apps that are out there. We've got about 30 of them now out in the App Store. So there's quite a few. It is a lot of work to maintain those. So we do charge those fees to maintain, but we want everybody to have the option to have that technology. And that's why we're creating a branded app. And we're going to be doing some marketing around that app as well. So we'll be driving rides to our customers kind of on your behalf through our marketing of that application. Rhonda asked, if you arrive and the passenger is not ready, is there a way to charge extra for the wait time? Absolutely, Rhonda. In your pricing, you can set up wait time, and you could give, first 5 minutes is free. After that, we charge, and the system will automatically calculate and apply that charge to the ride for you. All right, let's dive in to, once the driver's completed the ride, we've got reporting and billing. So I just talked about pricing a little bit, so I'm going to touch on that real quick with what I talked about for Rhonda. So within your software, you're creating all of your different funding sources. So all of your different brokers, the facilities you work with, et cetera. And within those, then you're going to go ahead and set up your pricing. And you can set that up by different modes of transportation. We have all sorts of different tools. Rhonda, there's that wait time feature for you. So you're going to set up how those trips are priced. Many of the brokers will actually send you the price. So if they send you the price, obviously we'll take that price from the broker and then keep that in the system accordingly. Within these, actually, I shouldn't have closed that. I want to show you one more piece of this. My computer is getting click happy. Invoicing. So we can set up how often this account is invoiced and kind of what some of their terms are. And then what happens is on that interval, weekly, monthly, whatever you set up, the system automatically generates invoices. So it generates batches of trips that you need to be able to send off and get paid for. So here it looks like we have a trip for Veo for Ronald McDonald is the passenger. So it must have they must be set up for separate invoicing. I'm going to go to this one here. So here's our invoice for the general hospital. If I need to see what trips are on that invoice, I can click there and it'll show me all of the trips that appear on that invoice. If I need to remove some, I can. If I want to manually add more, I can do that as well. And then depending on what our billing method is, we can perform a whole bunch of different billing functions from here. So if it is a broker, absolutely you can add old trips for billing. What happens is a trip will keep getting added to invoices until it's invoiced. So if you completed an old trip, even if it was prior to the last invoice being generated, it'll automatically show up on this next one. If you remove a trip, it's going to show up on the next invoice until you finally bill that trip. So as you remove trips or as new trips get completed, if you found out someone made a mistake and marked it canceled instead of completed, whatever the reason, those trips automatically kick to the next invoice. It's not date range based. It's based on the trip becoming billable since the last invoice was generated. So we have a lot of different ways we can generate those invoices. So first is just good old fashioned PDF, right? We can go ahead and generate an invoice, and we decide what information is going to appear on that invoice. You see all this data. This appears in a PDF file. And I have the option to either generate that so I can print it and mail it, or I can even send it directly via email to the email I have on file for the payer right from Route Genie. So I don't have to download, upload, et cetera, et cetera. Just one click, invoice sent. So a couple of the other ways you can see some of them on the screen here. We have the ability to download CMS 1500 forms. So if you're billing with 1500 forms, we can generate the form for you. There are some, odd ways that payers want things in boxes that are outside of the standard. So we can do custom work on those for you. If that's something that's needed, we can quote it out and tell you how much it would cost for us to modify the 1500 form for you. We do also have 837 files for a couple of different platforms, but really the most, widespread ways to bill are that invoice tool, as well as the ability to work with our partners at Change Healthcare, which is the largest clearinghouse in the U.S. Change Healthcare allows you to bill over 8,000 different insurance companies, Medicaid systems, et cetera, directly through Route Genie. So with the click of a button, we can send over batches of claims to Change Healthcare, where they're then processed with the payer. So if you're working with a clearinghouse currently, you're probably kind of used to that process. Change Healthcare is integrated right here to Route Genie. So instead of having to enter that information over and over and over again to bill your claims, with one click, all of your claims are sent over to Change Healthcare to be processed. And when the payments are issued, we get the remittances back from Change Healthcare and post those in Route Genie as long as the payer supports that technology, which most of them do. So pretty cool, simple features there. Now, if it is a broker, things change a little bit from broker to broker. So I'm going to cover a few of the biggest ones.
Hey, John.
Yes, sir.
Real quick, before you move on, we had a question in the chat from a Rayvon Campbell asking, can you add in old trips for billing?
Yep. No, I kind of recapped on that. Absolutely, you can add old trips. Like I said, it's going to generate in the invoice. No, as long as the trip has not been billed yet, it'll automatically be added to the next invoice, or you can always manually add it. But so broker billing. So MotiveCare and MTM, our integration, the way it works is we actually communicate with them live while you're performing the trip. So as soon as you assign a vehicle to the trip, either the day before or when you live dispatch it out, we send over to MTM, we let them know, or MotiveCare, we send over and let them know, hey, this vehicle is going to be handling the trip, and based on its route, here's the ETA. From there, when the driver arrives on scene, we send them the GPS coordinates and timestamp that happened. When the passenger's loading the vehicle, same thing, all the way through the trip being completed. Signatures for the driver and the passenger are passed digitally. So everything's kind of seamless. The two different brokers do things a little bit differently. MTM, you have what's called a packet, I believe it's called. Or one of them is a packet, one of them is a batch. I want to say MTM is a packet, but either way, the trips are automatically added into packets or batches. And then you just submit them from the MTM and the MotiveCare portal. But no more mailing paper logs, no more typing in information or uploading spreadsheets. It's all passed electronically via that API connection that we have with them. Different brokers are a little bit different. So again, any others that you work with, we recommend reaching out to us directly. We will certainly be able to walk you through exactly how that billing works. But no matter how you bill your customers, CMS 1500 forms, paper invoices, emailed PDF invoices, 837 files, clearinghouses, or if it's a broker, that direct broker integration, Route Genie has all of those tools ready for you to really streamline your process. Now, beyond that, especially for you folks that are just getting started, this is one of the best pieces of advice I've ever heard given to any business person, but especially in NEMT. Asking for money is only half the battle. You can ask for money all of you want, but you've got to follow through and make sure you actually get it too, right? Collecting that money is the other half of the battle. So Route Genie has a full accounts receivable platform built into it as well, where not only do we have these invoices generated, but we can see how much is paid and what the balance is. So I can post payments right back to Route Genie. So when I get this check for $140, I can put that check in. I can even upload a copy of that check if I want to make sure I keep that on file forever. And I can post that payment. And when I go to my invoices, I can go back in history and I can say, hey, I would like to see all of my invoices that were paid partially. I can search for any date range, or I can search forever. I want to see those that are overdue, the ones that are late. I want to see those that have been invoiced, which means I've sent them, but I haven't gotten paid yet. And I want to see the ones that are new, which means they've been produced by the system, but nobody sent it to the payer yet. We're way behind on sending our invoices from our demo account, obviously. Good thing that's not real money. We'd be broke. But so it gives you as a business owner, whoever you have working your accounts receivable, the ability to quickly and easily see what you need to do to make sure that you are not only asking for everything that you earned, but collecting on it as well. Got a couple questions in the Q&A. All right, I want to go back to Melissa's question from a bit ago, just because I didn't cover it because I want to make sure we're there. With only one vehicle and aside from the $50 per month, are there any other additional fees? We do offer some add-on things. Some of them we've talked about, some of them we've not. So I want to talk about that a little bit. If you're working with one of the broker integrations, there is some technical cost for us to maintain that connection with the broker. It requires a little bit bigger server. So with that, there is a one-time $100 broker integration setup fee, and it's $50 a month to maintain a broker integration. So if you're working with one of our partner brokers and you want to use that live integration that we've talked about, there's a small fee for that. There are also small fees for our, I talked about the iframe where you could put the tool on your website. There's a small fee for that, as well as that portal that I showed you. There are some things we haven't talked about. Like we have a system when the driver says they're on their way, we can place an automated call to the passenger, letting them know that the vehicle is on the way and providing them an ETA and even giving them the ability to cancel. So if they're not going that day, we can get them canceled now instead of waiting until the driver arrives and wasting that driver's time. So there's some add-ons. None of them are necessarily required for you to operate, but there are some cool things that you can add on to make you more efficient. And the cool thing is none of those have any contractual equipment. You can add them anytime, remove them anytime. It doesn't matter. For us, it's for you. It's a tool for you to use the software better. So if you decide that you want to add them, awesome. If you decide they're not working out, you cancel it. No harm, no foul. When we just move on with what is working for you. Hopefully that answers your question, Melissa. Rhonda, would using a routing system be good as a starting company brand new? And I'll let, I think I'm gonna let Jasmine and or Monica kind of maybe expand on that more. They talked a little bit about their growth and how useful it was. To me, if you can do it at a reasonable cost, and I do think Route Genie is a reasonable cost, I do think it makes sense to get something going right away. And this is why. You really want, it gives you an opportunity to establish your processes around the technology and kind of the efficient way of doing things instead of creating manual processes and then trying to change everything to implement a software. Now you've got to retrain your drivers. You've got to retrain your dispatch team. And you may be doing a lot of that, or it might be close friends or family. So maybe that's not as big of a task. But what you're going to find is eventually you're going to be spending hours of your day routing every day. And if you're doing that, that's hours of your day you could be spending on business development, for example, or recruiting, because hiring drivers is hard right now. So to me, taking that time that is spent on manual billing, manual routing, manual schedule creation, for me, it's worth $50 or $100 a month to be able to put that back into business development or into recruiting or both. Because then that's a bigger impact that you can make on your business. Let the computer do the work the computer can do, and let's let the humans do the work that a computer just can't. So for me as a business owner myself, that's my recommendation for you. A lot of our systems as a company were in place from day one. Before we grew to, we support now, it's just a little bit over. We just eclipsed 400 fleets in 40 different states across the U.S. So we've grown quite rapidly, and luckily we have the systems in place to support that. Not that those systems don't need to be tweaked and our processes don't need to be tweaked, because they absolutely have. But the more of a foundation you can create from the start, to me, the better off you are.
Yeah, and I just want to chime in on that. I absolutely agree with you, but I also think that it all depends on what you're working with, what type of capital you're working with. Can you afford a routing software just starting out? So if you can, absolutely go ahead, get one, get things going. Like Jonathan said, you don't want to have to like retrain your staff, right? Because time is money. But there are alternative solutions. Like I said in the beginning, me and Monica, we were spending hours and hours routing our trips, which was a headache. But at that time, that's all we couldn't afford a routing software at that time. So eventually we did get one, but just start with what you have, depending on what your budget is.
And then if I can also add as well, having a really good software would also eliminate and cut down on a human error. Billing can be a challenge when you're starting out. So having a software that offers that feature is a plus. That's a saving within itself. But as they both mentioned, of course, if you can't afford it, just start with what you have. But if you can, it is worth an investment. Because again, it will save you money in the long run and is almost like an additional person. So it definitely will cut down on the overhead costs as well by having a software and having a platform that can do all of these amazing things for you, as Jonathan just mentioned in this demo. So, yeah.
That's another thing, actually, a good point. Cash flow is another thing. We see people all the time that miss claims, where there's money that the software becomes very affordable when it catches more money coming in that you would have missed otherwise than it cost you. So that's another place where software can definitely pay off. And some people are very organized, and that's never going to happen to them. And if that's you, then that obviously it's a little bit different. But I know I'm the type that like my desk is covered in sticky notes because I can't remember my name some days. So if you're like me, having a tool that can keep track of all the trips that you've done and make sure and give you tools to make sure that you build everything, and then collect it on everything, can be a way that could pay for the software itself. I mean, for $50 a month, for example, that's one, maybe two trips. If you can save that every month, software just became free. So that's another way that a lot of folks see ROI from us. Bridget asks, is there a summary page that can be used for filing taxes? The answer to that is yes. It's actually from our reporting tool, which I will touch on very, very briefly as we're a little bit short on time. I am free that I can hang around a little bit and answer any additional questions, but I want to make sure anybody that does have a hard stop at 4 can move on with their day as planned. But so our reports, you get access. We have a whole bunch of different pre-built reports. We have some on-time performance, UHU, which is some efficiency reports. We have a tool that can send things to QuickBooks and general ledger report for accounting, all sorts of different stuff, aging for accounting. But our general report is just a summary of all trips. And here you are going to find, I'll kind of open these up a little bit, but it's over 250 different fields that apply to different pieces of information about the trip, the driver that handled the trip, the vehicle that took the trip, the driver's shift for that day, the funding source, the passenger. It's over 250 data points around each trip, including obviously the trip information, the pickup times, the time the trip was dispatched, the time the trip was created, the time the driver arrived, the time the driver arrived the drop off, the time the vehicle was, just everything. Was the trip on time? Was it a DOT parallel trip, which I clicked on an accident? But you can go and add whatever pieces of information you want to. You can then sort them accordingly. I can apply filters. So if I want to do only trips that were 2-man assist, I can do that. There we go. So now I'm only doing 2-man assist trips. I can do only trips for a certain driver, a certain payer. Apply whatever I want, and I can generate that report from any date range. Once I have saved that report, I'm going to go back here. So once I've got a report saved and created, I've got to leave this screen and come back to do this. I can have a template and then it's kind of save that report for future use. And I can even schedule to have that report automatically delivered to me at an interval. So if I want to get a report of yesterday's production every day, I can say, okay, I want yesterday's report. I want it delivered to me every day at 7 a.m. I like it in Excel format. I'd like it to be daily summary report. And I would like that sent to, I can actually look at users in the software. So I'd like it sent to John, and I want it sent to my ops manager, Mike. And both of us will get that. We can choose whether it's going to be dropped to us via email, or we can actually even have a notification pop up at the top and just deliver it directly through Route Genie. That person can download the report there. So I know I'm terrible at pulling reports. I'm very good at looking at them when they get sent to my email and it's put right in front of my face. So Route Genie gives you that capability. But for your question around taxes, you would just produce a report with a date range for the full year. You'd be able to show, all revenue generated. If you have to break that out by source, if you're working in a not-for-profit situation, for example, and you have different programs that you need to report on, you can also break it out based on those. All right, let me dive back to the Q&A because I feel like they're adding up on me. All right.
Hey, John, real quick, because I just in case we lose some people here at 4, we have some questions about having the link to sign up, and I have the link that Monica shared to me. However, I just realized it looks like I can only send the webinar chat to hosts and panelists. So I don't know if you could post that link in the chat for everybody.
Yeah, the Q&A, I actually don't have any option to interact that way. So here comes my I'll see if I can do it. Can you send it to through what you have, and I'll see if I can.
Yeah. Yep.
If not, the good news is we have everybody's email that you signed up with. We'll go ahead and send it out via email if we have to.
So John, you can't access the webinar chat.
I can see your chat. I'm going to see if I can send a chat to everybody.
I just figure in case anyone's got to get out of here since we're going a little bit over the allotted time.
It looks like I can send it to everyone. So I just went ahead and sent that link. So that is that's MJ Reliable sign up link. So you can sign up right through that. It will take you to signing up for a demo. Just go ahead and put in the notes that you saw the demo with John and you're ready to sign up. Or if you'd like it, we'll give you the option to sign up for a further demo with our team so you can go into more detail. So either way, if you're interested in learning more, hit that link, sign up for a demo. Like I said, if you're ready to sign up, just let us know in the notes that you're ready to sign up, and then someone will reach out with the information to go ahead and get your agreement in place. Michael, no fee for the reports. That is included at no extra cost. Rhonda asked, is there ever a reason to invoice a private pay customer? It's up to you. A lot of companies, if it's a direct pay, will only do rides if that trip is either prepaid or paid at the time of service. We do actually have an integration with authorize.net for credit card processing. We can actually connect you with them if you need to get signed up, but you can actually do credit card processing directly from either the backend app when the ride is scheduled, or the driver can even collect credit card information right in the vehicle and process credit card in vehicle for you. But I would tell you, is there a reason? Some folks, I will tell you, some companies do that, some don't, because collecting on it can obviously be very, very difficult. So that is a business decision for you. But I'll let the experts maybe provide some advice on that with Monica and Jasmine, because I don't want to overstep there. I'm interested in their thoughts on this actually, but in terms of the software, you're capable of doing it. But if you want to do it from a business perspective, I'm going to defer that to the experts.
Sorry, Jonathan, I was having some technical issues here. Can you repeat that question for us, please?
Yeah, Rhonda would like to know, she asked if there's ever a reason to invoice a private pay customer. So I said, I know a lot of our clients require prepay, so they're not having to chase that money down.
Absolutely. Most of the time you want to collect payment before service. So there shouldn't be a time, for you to send an invoice unless you're allowing that, that person a couple of days to pay the invoice. But you always want to collect payment prior to providing the service, right? So I would say, you never want to really send an invoice unless you have to, and it's taking them, they need a couple of days before they can pay the invoice. But again, you still want to make sure you collect payment before you provide that service.
Yeah, and I would add to that, I guess, just for clarity, private pay is a term that's used in a couple of different ways. Private pay in the medical industry as a whole technically just means that the trip is not being paid for by an insurance company or a Medicaid program, et cetera. So, but a lot of people use it to describe trips being paid for by the passenger. Technically, a trip that is being paid for by a health system, by the facility directly, potentially, is technically a private pay trip. So, those trips, if you're building a medical facility that you have a relationship with, yeah, absolutely makes sense. So, it depends a little bit on what your view of private pay. But if you're dealing with an individual person, I would strongly agree with with Monica Jasmine's sentiments that collect up front, don't turn yourself into a collection agency. I just didn't want you to differ from my opinion and put my foot in my mouth before you answered.
No, I think you answered that question really well, Jonathan. Yeah, that's honestly the gist of it. You always want to collect payment, like you said, unless you have a relationship with the hospital or nursing facility. It's best to just collect payment beforehand.
And something that's growing, actually, I'll give you guys a little tip. We're seeing a lot more of this moving forward, where for a contract with a facility, the way that some fleets are growing their contracts is they're offering the ability to essentially, hey, this person's going to pay for their ride. But if they don't, then I need you to cover it. So it's called the payer of last resort. So if you're doing hospital discharges, if I do a discharge and I pick up Monica and I'm gonna take Monica home from the hospital, now I'm gonna try to collect for Monica. But if I don't collect within 30 days, now the hospital owes me for that trip. So it's a clever way to make sure you're getting paid, but also potentially get more trips from the hospital because they like that you're going to try to do that collection for them. So if it's something that you have the infrastructure for, you're willing to do, could be an interesting way to land some additional work and some additional contracts. All right, Q&A is clear. We still do have, looks like 23 folks with us. So I'll do a last call if anybody has any questions.
Hey, really quick, Jonathan, I do have a question. It was something that you just recently covered. I don't think you answered this question, but so with this platform, is it a way, how long does it store the data as far as like the trip logs, signatures, or anything like that? Is it a time frame? And if so, is it a fee associated with that feature as well?
Great question. So storage is built into our existing pricing. So no additional cost for storage. The longest we've seen in terms of Medicaid contract is 6 years. So we've gone to 7 years. We reserve the right to archive your data after 7 years. If you want to store it longer, you have the option to appeal that or to request that archive data be sent to you on a disk. Or if you'd like to, like I said, if you'd like to ask for longer, you can ask us for longer, and then we may charge you a small fee to retain it longer. But 7 years is generally more than enough. Barbara has an awesome question. If you use QuickBooks, can billing a credit card be set up through there? The answer to that question is kind of. It is not built into our existing credit card integration. However, I have two things to tell you about QuickBooks. One is you do have the option where you can actually, we have the QuickBooks export report here, where this is actually the QuickBooks template for being able to create invoices in QuickBooks. So essentially you build this report and it will spit out all of your open invoices in Route Genie that match the criteria. And then you take the file that Route Genie spits out and import it into QuickBooks, and it's going to create all of your invoices so that QuickBooks mirrors Route Genie. And then you can obviously use your credit card payments through QuickBooks from there. So you're taking the data from Route Genie, spitting it to QuickBooks in a kind of automated manner. I'm also excited to announce that today we began work on an integration with QuickBooks. We'll be doing both QuickBooks Online as well as QuickBooks Desktop. I think Online will be launching first, but that should be coming in the next month or so, where we'll be able to automatically send the invoices over to QuickBooks via the API integration that we're building with them. And then those invoices will be in QuickBooks, and you can proceed with your normal credit card billing from there. So that is a very exciting feature. Watch your emails for that. We are hoping to actually have that done as early March, but maybe a little bit longer. But that is going to be a very exciting feature for us and our customers, because we use QuickBooks. I think everybody uses QuickBooks. So that's a pretty going to be a pretty big deal. Barbara also asked, how much is it for the website add-on for booking? It is $100 a month and a one-time $200 setup fee for us to create that code for you, Barbara. So $100 a month for maintenance and then $200 one time.
Wow, John, I think you guys are really staying ahead of the curve with this technology and just kind of keeping NEMT businesses up to date. And I think that that's really important.
So our software was built, it was actually launched in the first, my partner's company in 2017. Our company was founded in 2018, December of 2018, and 2019 was really spent kind of learning the market and understanding the market. I came aboard in early 2020. Mike joined, I think, late 2019. And we actually did our kind of full go-to-market at the beginning of 2020, just in time for COVID. So that wasn't ideal. We did really well early in 2020 before COVID hit. But once that happened, things really slowed down until the fall. So really, we've only been, in market for about 3 years. And really lost about 6 months of that. So really, it's been about 2.5 years that we've been in market. The cool thing is we come with a ton of experience. My business partners have been in the industry for almost 20 years. I've been doing this through here, another software platform that I worked for, and then the mobile technologies world. I've really been involved in NEMT since 2013. So I'm going on a decade now. So we bring a lot of experience to the table. Like I said, it's kind of interesting because there's a lot of software companies that built NEMT software. We're an NEMT company that happened to build software. So we can really understand the challenges that companies face. And that's why we're able to, build creative solutions to help solve the day-to-day challenges you face because we know what they are.
Yeah, it's apparent. It's apparent. I'm really impressed with the feature that you guys have that will allow the facility to actually go in and schedule these rides and actually track the vehicle. I mean, that's impressive. I haven't heard that one before.
That's a big one for contract winning too, because as a sales tool, when you're going in and, I think that's one thing that people always ask me. I do a business development presentation at NEMT most years. I think I've done it 3 times now. And one of the things I talk about is know what your differentiator is and being able to go, when you walk in the door and you get that meeting, you better be able to tell them why you're different. And being able to not only tell them, but show them and prove that you're different is a huge sales tool.
Yeah, I agree, Jonathan. You well on top of that, like just looking online at the information that you've shared, and just whenever we, type in Route Genie, there's tons of information, and you can tell that you guys are so knowledgeable about the industry within itself, and not just the software, the routing software, but the industry as a whole. And that's always beneficial because you can see it from both lens and both angles. And so that's always good to have in this industry because what we're dealing with on a day-to-day operation. So thank you for always, staying, like Jasmine mentioned, up to date, informed, and keeping us, informed with different new features as well. We really appreciate it. It does make our job a lot easier. So we do appreciate that as well.
Awesome. And yeah, for folks that might want to check it out, go check out our blog. We have a lot of cool content there.
Yeah.
If you're not subscribed to these ladies on YouTube, get on that. I'm sure most of you are, and that's how you found out about this. But if you're not, you guys might not know this, but ironically, when you reached out to me about doing this, my marketing introduced you to had actually just reached out to me about, hey, do we know who these ladies are? They're doing tons of stuff and they got really awesome content. We should talk to them. And I was kind of like, well, as a matter of fact. So kudos to you guys for the awesome content you're putting out there. I think there's a lot of folks that want to do awesome things in this industry and need some guidance as to where to go. And you guys do a tremendous job helping them get that guidance and really get their businesses off the ground. So we appreciate what you do as well.
Thank you, Jonathan. Much appreciated.
Awesome. Well, it looks like we're all set on questions. So I think we can go ahead and, we got one more. Oh, nope. Just a shout out for you guys.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you guys so much. And Jonathan, I do want to add, You know, we greatly appreciate you. I know I said it earlier in our conversation, but I want you to really understand that we are so thankful for you guys over at Route Genie to give us this opportunity. And if there is anyone watching this webinar and you are looking to get into the NEMT industry, don't know where to start, don't know what to do, definitely check out our YouTube channel. It's MJ Reliable Transportation. And also go follow us on TikTok and Instagram. The handle is MJ Reliable Transportation.
Awesome. Well, ladies, thank you so much for having me. Hopefully we can do this again. I'd love to find some other topics we can talk about and have some awesome conversation. I'm a all in NEMT nerd these days, so I'm excited to talk about anything NEMT related now. So I look forward to working with you guys again, but thank you again for the opportunity. Thank you everybody for joining us, and we'll talk to you all very soon.